Well, first of all, it is a celebration because it's 20 years of hard work of a lot of people who've tried to contribute to the debate by coming up with a profound analysis, with good ideas, bringing people together, having them discuss. And in difficult times, as the ones which we're now experiencing for some years, these times of polycrisis and of huge uncertainty, I think that the role of a think tank and of think tanks in general are becoming even more important, trying to make things understandable, to understand the complexity of the day. It's because the uncertainty is profound, and the element of trying to understand why things are the way they are is something which one needs to strengthen. And I think that here the EPC, as other think tanks in Brussels but also in member states, can play a strong role.
During your conference to mark the 20th anniversary, you had what you could describe as sort of the highest in terms of profile. You couldn't really find people with higher profiles in the European Union. Do you think that sort of tells you all you need to know about the respect and the sort of high esteem in which the European Policy Centre is held within the European Union?
Well, the fact that we had the luck of having all three presidents, the President of the European Parliament, of the Commission and of the European Council, I think signals something. It signals that the EPC is a voice which is being heard, and it also signals that there is an appreciation for that voice and that there's an appreciation for the work we do. And even if we're critical, because we are often also very critical, it still is a voice which seems to be having an impact. And for a think tank, whether it is in Brussels, in the member states, or wherever in this world, having impact is the most important thing which you want to have, because you want to change things, you want to affect things, and you do that through different means. So the fact that we had all of these presidents signals to us and also to others that we're doing not the baddest of jobs.
The EPC always has its finger on the pulse when you look at the challenges facing the EU, Brexit, the refugee crisis or migrant flow crisis, or whatever, however you want to describe that, security, energy, etc. The list goes on and on. The Eurozone economic crisis, people would say that still exists. Are you hopeful that the EU will survive into the future?
Yes, I think that the EU is going through a very difficult times, fundamental crisis as we so often hear. Yes, there is a fundamental crisis. At the same time, there is also a certain degree of resilience, and this is a functional resilience in the sense that people know how risky and costly it would be to abandon the European project, both from a national and from a European perspective. So they know the functional costs and benefits, but there's also something which is deeper. We, in the paper which you produced for this conference, called this, the European integration has become part of Europe's collective DNA. There are ties which have been created over more than 60 years of experience with European integration, which are strong ties, and one should not underestimate them. From the outside, sometimes seen from outside of Europe, people don't see this. If you are in Europe, I think that you can see these ties, but you still have the profound crisis, the polycrisis, and you need to address all of the different elements. And the EPC, being a generalist think tank, deals with a lot of different issues, but we're trying to connect the dots and have the bigger picture always in mind when we look at the more specific issues.